Welcome back to Rise and Grind. It is a bye week for the Memphis Tigers football team. They are back in action a week from Saturday when they host UCF at the Liberty Bowl. But this morning, we are happy to be joined by head coach of the Tigers, Ryan Silverfield, kind enough to join us during this bye week, this work week. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. How are you this morning? Looks like we got a little. Did you hear that? Okay. I think are we on the mute? Try again.
You guys got me?
Oh, there we are. It's like every Zoom meeting in 2020. We just had to get one step forward going on there. We so appreciate you joining us this week. I know it's your bye week. You called it a work week yesterday, which I assume is especially the case given that you had those 4 weeks off between your first game and your last game at SMU. But how have you used this work week to continue to get back in the flow of things with your team?
Yeah, obviously it's been strange times for us, 28 days in between games. And then, we have a lot of corrections we need to make up from our previous game versus SMU. We're alternating days where we'll do a practice and then a walkthrough, heavy type deal with more meetings. And so I think our guys appreciate it. We got to keep them fresh. We got to keep them focused and engaged. But they're excited. We know we have a wonderful opponent in UCF coming up, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday in the Liberty Bowl. But our guys, the biggest thing is just making sure we fix our mistakes and that we're on the same page moving forward.
I mean, Coach, you've talked about those mistakes and, starting faster, having a faster tempo, especially after that SMU game. When you look at this week of just practices, how have you addressed that with your team?
Yeah, I think, we have not started fast in our 2 previous games, right? And that also deals with the opponent starting fast on us. And so one of the things we've done is right when practice starts, right after stretch, we're going directly into team competition. I think that's important for us, right? Get some tempo versus our defense so they can get lined up fast, allow our offense to play faster, try to get some explosive plays. I think the biggest thing that's hindered us, especially last game, is we had 3 turnovers, right? You can't compete in very few games. Obviously, the Houston-Tulane game is a little bit different story last night, but with 3 turnovers, we didn't give ourselves a chance, and then defensively, too many big explosives, right? And we've got to find ways to start fast and then also finish strong.
You talk about defensively starting faster. In that SMU game, you had a couple giant explosive plays, and you play against a guy like Reggie Robertson, you're at risk of having to deal with that. I also know you played almost your entire defense during that game. How much of that slow start from the defense do you attribute to just not having been able to do much live tackling at all in that 4-week break between game 1 and last weekend's game?
Well, Jessica, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for us. It ultimately starts with me, and I've got to do a better job, make sure we guys are prepared. But there was some rust out there. And the reality of it is a lot of our roster wasn't really fully back until that week, and I wasn't going to go out there on a first Tuesday practice and have them hit and tackle each other when they hadn't done so in quite a few weeks and then risk more injuries going in. We know we got a long season ahead of us. But we've just got to be able to limit those, right? That 5-yard catch can't turn into a 75-yard gain, right? That 8-yard catch can't turn into an 85-yard gain. So, we're not going to play a bend but don't break defense, but we also have to be smart and be able to wrap up and tackle, and that starts with a good week of practice.
And, a team who has gone through a lot of days off, you had that 28-day stretch after your game 1 to the SMU game, and now you're in another off week. How do you take advantage, and how important is this week to have off, especially leading up to this UCF game where you, as you called it, it's an 8-week gauntlet after that?
Yeah, Meghan, I think we've just got to continue to prepare. I think this week itself, we've really focused on the basic fundamentals of what we need to fix. We didn't have spring football. We had a 9-day training camp with school starting early. So there's still details that we're trying to get corrected. So a lot of the focus is on ourselves. We're starting to talk a little bit about UCF, but really the focus will turn to them next week. So we've got to be able to, not shoot ourselves in the foot and get those corrections done this week and be able to click on all cylinders so we're rolling through. And I think that's going to be important. And, we'll address that even this morning and moving forward.
You acknowledged it yesterday. Right now, the world is just crazy, and anyone existing right now, I think, would agree with you. And specifically for this football team, what you guys have had to go through over the last month and a half, how have you been impressed by how this team has had to respond through so much adversity? What kind of messaging have you continued to pump into them? Because at the end of the day, these are college football players, and it's tough for anyone to get going having to face as much as they've already faced this year.
Yeah, I give them a lot of credit, right? You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds that are dealing with things outside the norm, and there's other things occurring other than social injustice, COVID. They got a lot of things going on in their personal lives, right? And then with all that being said, they still need to handle their academic business. There's things they got to take care of, obviously, on the football field. So I give them a lot of credit. They've been strong. They're more steadfast sometimes than us coaches because we're so used to scheduling and planning and having everything detailed laid out. So the change of plans, I give them a lot of credit. They've been great with it. They've kept a positive attitude. Yesterday we talked to them about it, that our attitude's the only thing we control, right? There may be some other things that pop up during the season, and adversity is life, right? We talk about that it's going to occur, when a lot of these guys graduate from college, that if this is a little bit of the adversity they face, they're going to see tougher times in the future, and this is preparing for them for that. And so their mindset, their approach has been wonderful. We just have to keep doing it, and I implore our coaches to keep talking about those things, right? It's not just about the X's and O's in every meeting that we have. Obviously, we've had more meetings than games, so be creative the way we got to teach, the way we talk about things, and and we try to keep it a positive environment around here. COVID negative, but a positive environment in the way we're trying to do things, and it's constant education, it's constant communication.
In a positive environment, I mean, you've been here for a few years. What's so great about Memphis, Tennessee, is that this city and the fan base rallies around you and your team, and just the city in general, with everything that's going on in the country right now. How great is it to just have this Memphis fan base support, especially in a time like this?
Yeah, I love the 901, and that's one of the reasons why I stayed here for that going on my 5th year, is because the people of Memphis are wonderful, and I truly mean that. We have a fantastic fan base. Excited that we're able to expand the numbers for health and safety reasons in the Liberty Bowl, right, to get up to 12,000 fans there when we play UCF and beyond. But that's the unique thing about this city. They love their Tigers. We love them back. We know their passion. Obviously, we want to win every game for them, not only for ourselves but for the people of this community, and it's a prideful group, right? I don't take for granted that Memphis First Everybody. I'm a young man that grew up with a chip on my shoulder, and I think our players have that same deal, and the city as a whole. So anything we can do to make things a little bit brighter for everybody, and if that requires success on the field, then we will do so. But look, I'm proud of our guys. They take a lot of pride in playing for Memphis, not only the name on the back of their jersey, but the name on the front, and knowing all who we represent.
I know you have to be excited that you'll be able to have some more fans in the Liberty Bowl when you take on UCF, the Shelby County Health Department, expanding the number that can be there for that game. We use the word unprecedented way too often this year, but for you specifically, I mean, it's your first year as the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, your first head coaching job here. What has been the weirdest thing about this season for you so far?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that's been normal since, being named interim head coach really after midnight after the Cincinnati game. And then, my first game, if you told me a long time ago, my first game as a head coach would be versus Penn State in the Cotton Bowl, I'd roll my eyes at you. So it's been, I guess, unusual since, but so is this career. And, there's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been a lot of adversity this year, but we've got to stay the course. And we got to stay focused. I could sit there and pout and say, woe is me, and say this is too much and all that. But for me, it's about maintaining a positive mindset. There's been things, right? I mean, we faced adversity all throughout. I remember in 2010 when I was with the Minnesota Vikings. Well, we were going to play a game, and the Metrodome actually collapsed. And we had to go play a Tuesday night game in Detroit versus the New York Giants, and it was a home game for us, right? We've had to play on a frozen turf at the old Minnesota Gophers Stadium, and Brett Favre got knocked out after getting hit, and the ground was frozen. So I kind of relate a lot of these things, right? You got to go with the flow, control what you can control, and the biggest thing is making sure that, we're imploring that into our student athletes, that this is part of life, and we've got to be steadfast in our approach and continue to, keep chopping away, and good things will come from this.
In 2020, just nothing's been normal, as you said. And speaking of good things coming from this, for me personally, 2020 has been a lot of realizing things and just learning things about myself. For you, especially being surrounded around your team during a time of COVID-19, social justice, and just putting out that message, what have you learned about yourself, and just what's a good thing coming out of 2020 that you're proud of?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Meghan, is I've learned to listen to our team. It's one of those deals you always feel like you listen to your players, and throughout my career, now 22 years in this profession, but really try to get a full understanding. And that, guess what? They have more that's going on just inside these buildings, right? They've got stuff going on in their personal lives with family, like you said, with social justice, injustice, and COVID. I mean, there's other things that are occurring, and we need to be there for them. And then I've also realized patience, right? As a coach and as a head coach, you want things done. You've got to get it done, try to get this taken care of. And I've got to be flexible. And I've taken plans and thrown them in the trash constantly, right? Hey, this is what we're doing tomorrow. Okay, well, this occurred. This is how we have to do. So it's kind of taking a deep breath back and saying, let's be flexible. Let's be smart with the way we're doing things. Let's be to adjust things and control what we can control. But then once the plan's in place, moving forward with it in the right manner. So I've kind of looked in the mirror quite often. Even after wins and losses, I think you got to sit there and judge yourself. Okay, what can I do better? And as a head coach and as a person, I've gained a lot in this year. Obviously, I'm not happy with a lot of things in 2020, but it does us no good. We still got a few months ahead of us, and we're going to do everything to make the most out of the rest of this year.
Flexibility is something we've all had to become a little more adept at in the year 2020. I was listening to you on the radio yesterday, and you had just kind of an aside comment about how some people have talked about the Memphis offense this season not being as explosive as it's been in seasons past. And when you see all of the former Tigers making plays on Sundays, you can kind of understand when you have a situation where Kenneth Gainwell opts out of the season, you can kind of understand. But I'm curious, with just 2 games under your belt and circumstances aside, what do you think of your offense this year, and how do you identify them moving forward?
Yeah, I think we're going to be a pretty balanced offense. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, it's nice, right? We've got 2 starting running backs in the NFL right now. We've got one that's a backup running back for the Dallas Cowboys. We got a leading receiver for a team, all those things that are no longer here, and a player that, frankly, a freshman All-American that was very dynamic on offense. That's not here right now. And so we've got the pieces of the puzzle that we have left, and we're excited with our roster. It all starts with Brady White, our quarterback. He does an excellent job. He's smart. He's tough. He's a leader. And we've talked about it. He's got to own the football. We can't turn the ball over. And, our running back, Drake Clark, is probably going to be our bell cow. And then DeMonte Coxey, obviously a receiver. But we've got to find other weapons on our offense in order to be balanced. In years past, we haven't had to go 12-play drives in order to score 6 points. We've been able to do it on, hey, catch that, kind of like what SMU was able to do us. Hey, let's catch a 5-yard pass and take it for 80 yards. And, we'll find ways to get playmakers the ball, but it may be a little bit more of a let's drive the ball down the field. And we're always going to be, Jessica, an offense that's going to take what the defense gives us, right? If they're going to allow us to methodically move it at 5 yards a carry, then that's what we'll do. If the big play's there and we can spread them out and take shots down the field all day and score in the passing game, that's what we'll do as well. So we've got to be efficient and smart. We always see those offenses sometimes that put up 50 points. Well, guess what? Their opponent puts up 51, and it's a shootout, and they still end up on the wrong side of the win column. So we're going to be as balanced as we can and take what defenses give us.
And we can't wait to see this offense get back in action next week against UCF. I know this week you said you're focusing on yourselves, and next week it'll be all about UCF. As someone who was a GA at UCF for 2 seasons, is it any differently? I know you've taken them on before, but is it different now as saying a head coach taking on a school that you know so much about and you spent some years at?
I think so. I mean, you have fond memories of there, right? I was a grad assistant under a guy named George O'Leary, who is a successful head coach. I've seen the success of UCF over the years, right? It's now, I believe, the largest school in the country, and I was able to see that growth, even growing up in Jacksonville, Florida. And so, look, every game is going to be a rivalry game, a tough battle. But, yeah, it will be unique to be able to play them. I go back and I've got to talk to our team on a Saturday team meeting, and I don't like to bring up the past, but the record, right? I mean, it's been they've won 13 straight games versus Memphis, and that's something that leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and that's my job as a head coach to get that record changed. And part of it starts with our practice and our preparation, and we know we got a big task ahead, but excited to go play a team that I once worked for. But I'm always excited week in and week out for our great opponents, especially in this awesome conference.
I thought it was cool to hear some of the players say yesterday that Memphis is at a point where you can't have a record like that against a team like UCF. So you don't have to tell them twice. They know how much this game means. Coach, I have to ask you, as everyone has been watching college football through this season, and we all know the importance of masks, and we're all wearing masks in our daily life, just how hard is it to coach a 4-quarter football game wearing a mask? day in and day out.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we know it's part of the deal. I can't complain, right? It's part of the, if it keeps everybody safe and healthy, not only protects, the people around me, but myself, it's an easy thing to do. I've got family in the medical field, and so I think it's important. I understand the importance of wearing a mask. I mean, we see these people that have been on COVID task force teams that are in the hospitals that wear multiple masks and outfits for 12 hours a day in much worse, environments. So, look, I can shut up and I can put on a mask and try to coach and to the best of our ability. So I don't look at it as a deterrent. I look at it as something that we've all got to do, and it's part of the norm this year.
Yes, I have my mask right here all the time. That is like the now go-to purse, phone, mask. It's super important. So everyone listening and watching, if Coach Silverfield can do it in Coach Four Quarters, if doctors, nurses, if we can do it going to the store, it's super important for us to get out of 2020 just all in one piece and continue to just enjoy some life. So Coach Silverfield, we appreciate you waking up this morning and rising and grinding with us and just breaking all this down for us. We can't wait to see you guys back in action. We wish you nothing but the best with the rest of your season and next week versus UCF. We are cheering you on here at FedEx Forum and Grind City Media.
Well, I appreciate everything you guys do. It was good to be on here. Meghan and Jessica, thank you guys so much for everything y'all do for our city, and go Tigers.
Absolutely. We got to get some of those football helmets that you have behind you, that Black Tigers football helmet. I want one of those. We'll make some calls. Yeah, people in the chat are very excited about it. So you might have some people who want one too. But we'll see you next time, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
I'm excited about this UCF game. I'm excited for it. Next
it's
week.
Still so far.